In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to lock down your next product manager interview into your next product manager offer. This is the same strategy that I teach people who are enrolled in the production program to go ahead and take an interview from, basically a group of strangers who's largely never met you before. And in the next few rounds, go ahead and tie that into an actual job offer so you can stop watching these types of videos. Let's go ahead and start. The first thing that I notice is missing in a lot of product manager interviews is actually a hook. Hook in the world of sales and marketing, which we in the bootcamp business study religiously, I was going to say intensely, but no, religiously, is the attention grabber. It's to stop whoever it is that you are trying to convince, who it is that you are trying to sell, to stop focusing, thinking, worrying, stressing, being distracted over something else mentally, and to get them to go and focus on what it is that you have to say. It doesn't matter if you're transitioning into product management for the very first time or you're an experienced veteran. If you don't have their attention, you cannot go ahead and sell them on how you are going to go ahead and help them. Most people don't think about interviewing in this sense, but like when you're talking to a hiring manager, you got to understand their mind space right now is being dominated by a meeting they just had, worrying about the next meeting that they have to go to, worrying about multiple deadlines. A third, 34% of the hiring managers that are out there in tech right now is also dating or married to a significant other who has also been impacted by the tech layoffs. So you can imagine however fun you've been is however much fun they are having going home at night. And it's not very cool. So you got to get them to stop worrying about the meeting that they just had, the meeting that they're going to have, the deadline they're not going to meet, the significant other that it's like, hey, how's the job hunt going? It must be nice that you have a job and I don't. Honestly speaking, not really, because now that I'm the sole breadwinner here, that just puts that much pressure on me, and honestly, work hasn't really been that fun for them. So, Rich, I get that. How do you get them to go? How do you hook them in their attention? Ask them straight up, what's pissed you off the most about your week so far? Ask them that because they will find therapeutic value in speaking to you about how it is that they feel. And people love to vent. You ever talk to one of your friends who had some Tinder date that didn't go well, somebody didn't call them back, and it's just like at some point they realize they just have to let it go and like get back on the bandwagon and meet somebody else, but and it was just like, we had so much fun. And like people love ruminating. People find it therapeutic. Honestly, that's actually one of the great highlights of our program because now that, we're hosting so many live calls and people getting to know each other so much better, is people find it therapeutic to just yap about how bad the interview process was for them for like 2 to 3 hours a week, or the fact that like they did a really good interview and, the company never got back to them or the hiring budget got frozen or whatever. And this is actually why with the volume approach, we've completely wiped those worries away because they have so many more interviews in the backlog. But having said that, you need to hook them in quick, fast, now. So at the very least, they can pay attention to what it is that you have to say. There's only two outcomes here when you're doing an interview. You know the answer or you don't know the answer. Now you have to go out there and actually just use deduction to think about it this way. If you don't know the answer, then you definitely need to call us because you should. But let's just say, even if you know the answer, there's a lot of people that are giving Oscar winning answers out there that are still wondering why they're not getting a job offer. You don't have their attention. So, first things first, hook them in. You want to sell them, you have to have them focus on what it is that you have to say. Number two, pain. Nobody goes to a freaking doctor's office because they're feeling good. Every interview is an opportunity for you to go ahead and diagnose and remedy pain. Pain, 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 pain. What I see that is missing with so many product manager interviews that really changed my tech recruiting career is the people that understood how to evoke pain and show them how to apply pain, basically remove pain. Those were the people that actually got the biggest job offers, and they also had the job offers coming back in the shortest amount of time. For people that are like, oh, I got some interviews going on. When was the last time we heard back from them? 2 weeks? It's not coming. I don't know what to go out there and tell you, but the longest time it should take a company to know whether or not they want to hire you is about 3 hours. And if it takes them more than that time, then you already know. It's that Tinder date that's not calling back. So is there pain? Pain. Pain is what gets like, what is hurting you the most? Because think about it this way. All right. If I don't go ahead and get this roadmap out, if I don't go ahead and get this go-to-market strategy out, if we don't go ahead and convince our investors, if we don't go out there and get this pitch deck done, that basically means I'm not going to have a job. That basically means I'm going to be a job hunter like you. That basically means I'm going to have to schedule a call with a company like Product Gym to help me get my next job. I want to go out there and do that. That's the last thing I'm freaking trying to go out there and do. So you need to go out there and talk about pain. So you need to go out there and ask them, what are the 3 most important KPIs that you are most stressed out about? What are you most focused on solving right now? What 3 KPIs does their boss actually care about? Because now you know, okay, if I help you solve those 3 problems, or if I help you take away all the distractions so you can focus on solving those 3 problems, then we're going to have, we're going to get along great. The next thing that people have to do is also excite. You have to go out there and actually show some degree of excitement. Excitement can come in a few forms. Number one is like, you want to go ahead and talk about why you are excited to work for that company. So look for things that are on their Instagram. Look for things that are on their LinkedIn. Look for things that are on their YouTube. Look for things that are on their Twitter feed. What are new and exciting things that are happening in their company? Look for new and exciting things that are happening in their industry. It's like, if it's crypto, wow, current administration right now is hell-bent on turning America into the crypto capital. Be excited. Go out there and paint yourself as somebody that's exciting to go ahead and work with. 95% of people show up to interviews looking like they're getting ready to get shot against the wall. It is the freaking truth. And I'm telling you this right now, from Google all the way down to XYZ company that you never heard of. And this is something that I saw as a recruiter. Why? Because they're nervous. When you're nervous, it seems like you're desperate. And when you're desperate, that's just not very exciting. I have to actually want to go ahead and work with you. Nobody's going to hire anybody just because they freaking need a job. It's the restaurant analogy that I always use every single time. There's a line out the door, and then there's a restaurant where you, your significant other, or your friends can eat at right now. You're always going to go ahead, almost always, unless you're starving, you're going to go ahead and get in line. You want to know why? Because you are looking for an experience when you're spending your own money eating out. So you have to go out there and excite them. And excite goes in so many different more ways than that. What do they like to do? One thing that's worked out a lot for us in our program right now is, are you going skiing? Have you been able to go out there and find some time to make it out on the slopes? Because it's skiing and it's snowboarding season, and this is the time when a lot of people like to go skiing and snowboarding. Oh man, I haven't had time to because of work. Yes, you know what? I am very much looking forward to it this week. You can go out there and excite them with things that are happening on the job, things that are happening with their industry, things that they are doing outside of freaking work, right? Things that that shows that you are possibly an exciting person to go ahead and work with. I always like throwing this extra little analogy in there. I think it was either Anthony Bourdain or some American chef that was able to go, and this was back in the days, late 90s, went to Tokyo, and hilarious enough was went to some sushi restaurant and asked these 2 sushi chefs, what do you guys eat right after you guys are finished with your shift? And this is like a Michelin star omakase. They're like, we're gonna take you to a very fancy establishment, and took them to McDonald's. They're like, yo, after 18 hours a day of looking at dead fish, the last thing you want to see is Asian food and chopsticks. Honestly speaking, 100% concur. I don't drink coffee anymore because when I was a kid, I worked at Starbucks for a freaking summer, and I never ever want to drink coffee again. I buy everything at Starbucks but coffee. So when you're talking about products, yo, man, last thing I want to talk about something else that gets them more excited, because this is a job at the end of the day. Okay, positioning. This is where so many people actually get it wrong. Positioning is, what's the difference between you and everybody else? Because the two conversations that they're always going to have in the back of their mind, and I'm looking at my notes right now, is, I don't freaking trust you, and why should I pay for it? It's kind of not that different than, like, I would say, most buying decisions. So when you're talking about trust, okay, like, what do you deliver that's going to be better than the next 15 other people that they can go with instead? Well, this is actually where you want to go ahead and reference stories. And the stories that you're referencing are completely all wrong. What most people need to understand in this market about positioning, and this is the thing that product managers just don't seem to understand. And I get a lot of people that push me back on this, which is, specialists or generalists. In a market where we are constantly changing so fast and at such a frequent rate, it's like you go and you interview for this role and it says, we're hiring a burger chef. And all of a sudden they're like, you know what, next week we got to sell tacos. What do you think is more important to the freaking restaurant? What's important to the restaurant is freaking generating cash. Whether or not they are printing USD to cover rent, lights, expenses, freaking ingredients, the produce that's rotting in the freaking fridge right now, your salary, their salary, everything. All they care about right now is making money. In economy right now, I don't like to say the economy is bad, because it's not. You're opening up on LinkedIn and you're clearly seeing people say, like, I'm so happy today to remove the open to work tag off of my face. You want to know why those people are getting jobs? Because they understand in this market, when the market's constantly changing, you're no longer branding yourself as the best e-commerce person. You're no longer branding yourself as the best CRM person. You're no longer branding yourself as the best fintech person or the best mobile person. You are branding yourself as the most versatile product manager, which is 4 days from now, if Trump signs an executive order that completely F's up our position and we go into a subscription model, I can go ahead and learn that shit fast. And this is where people get it wrong. And this is why people aren't printing multiple offers like they're doing in our program. You want to know why? Because here's the thing that people need to know. If our business model changes up in 72 hours, which it very, very, very may well happen, are you the type of person that we even want to work with? This is the final thing that people just need to go ahead and get into their heads. And this is why you need to schedule a call, because we're hosting our next cohort in March and we're about filled up for it. But this is the thing, is like, well, but they asked you those requirements because they thought at that time that was what they needed. And unfortunately right now, that's not what they need anymore, because the market's changed. Why is the market changing so much? They don't enjoy it any more than you do. I guarantee you that much. And that's actually the last thing, is empathy. When you're going into a job interview, and this just has to click. When you're going into a job interview constantly thinking about what is it that you want, it just really shows them that you don't give a shit about them as people. And that just turns them to not give a shit about you as a person, because they're feeling frantic right now, AF. And I always go ahead, and even when I started this business 8 years ago, this is the kind of mindset that I was in, even when I had no money, just talking to randos on the street and like Whole Foods in New York, is this. They are trying to figure out how to solve a problem, just like how I am trying to figure out how to solve a problem. I was a very successful recruiter, and I knew everything that there was to getting this job. Granted, that's why, like, hilariously enough, like, we get so many people with multiple offers and at above market rates. But the thing that I needed to figure out was, I actually figured out, if you can get me in front of the phone with them in person, as you can see, I'm a pretty persuasive person. I knew I could sell them. But the problem is, how do I find those people that are interested in me? And I'm like, every single night, I'm studying YouTube, I'm studying Instagram, I'm studying all this freaking crap. And I'm just like, I just need to talk to as many people as possible about this because I can go out there and get them a job. I know that you feel the same. Like when you look at a job, you're like, Rich, I would freaking crush that job, dude. Like I would freaking massacre that role. I was born to do that job, right? But your biggest blocker isn't even getting the interview. If it is, then you definitely need to talk to us. But your biggest blocker is, how do you convince them to go ahead and give you a shot to do it? Because getting the job, as we can see by all the idiots that are in leadership positions, selling yourself as the person to do the job versus actually doing the job are two different animals. In a perfect world, you should not have to watch this video to get a job. You really shouldn't. You shouldn't have to enroll in a program. But we do live in a world, and we do celebrate as a culture, as Americans, showmanship and the schnazzle and the dazzle and going in there and wowing. And often the person that's getting the product manager job is just doing such a superior job interviewing than you, and versus their ability to go out there and actually deliver real results. This is actually why so many companies are jaded about hiring people, is because they've hired so many duds in the past. Having said that, though, the real solution is mock interviewing with higher quality people. A product manager that's coming in, and this is the last tip that I have, that's the bonus. A product manager that's coming in from an MBA background versus a product manager that's coming in from a finance background versus a product manager that's coming in from a consulting background versus a product manager that's coming in from a software engineering background, they have very different communication styles. They also look for very different things. This is also where you need to see, do you match up well just on a human level with the fit? There are some PMs out there, they see a lot of value in product manager internships. Some PMs out there, they think it's the biggest effing waste of time. And that just comes from their own personal bias. It's kind of like a Michelin star restaurant. Who's handing out these Michelin star awards? White people. So it's why do you have the right to rate this ethnic restaurant? I don't even like that freaking term, ethnic restaurant. It's far. Oh God, I love Far Eastern. Far East of what? Far East from the West? Why do you It's you have to understand that, right? We do live in that world, and we have to go out there and acknowledge it. They're gonna look at you through a certain lens. Can you overturn that perspective? Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can't. That's also where the numbers game comes in. So don't wait. Schedule a call with us. I'd love to go ahead and actually take you out of this job hunt. And more importantly, the last piece of takeaway is what I found from hosting Job Hunting Challenge across all three of my offers the past month and a half, going on 2 months, is people just really lack the motivation to go out there and apply an interview because they're just feeling dude, it's such a one-sided love affair. And that's a horrible feeling to have, but I can show you how to monetize your entire job hunt all the way through. I'm not even joking. There's more people out there. We have more people than I can go out there and coach. By all means, go out there and launch your own thing. I'll help you out. Name is Rich. Schedule the call. Let's get you this job. Let's get you printing cash off your personal brand. Let's help you escape the 9 to 5 forever. Because if you hate job hunting, 95% of Americans do. Let's just make this the last freaking job hunt you ever have to go on. Talk to you soon on the call.